Recently, an alleged leaked audio conversation between the former president, Ernest Koroma, and MS Bangura, a veteran APC politician, and against the 2018 elections and 2023 flag bearer, Dr. Samoa Kamara, has surfaced on the internet. They discussed various party matters, including Kamara's selection as the 2018 flag bearer. The leaked audio has ignited widespread public debate. What does this mean for APC party, the public democracy and good governance in Sierra Leone? Joining us this morning is Koroma. He is member APC media team. And of course, we also have Solomon Sundu. He's a famous political analyst. And in our studio too, we have Melvin Tijan Mansere, who is a media and social commentator. Good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure having all of you here this morning.
Good morning. Delighted to be here.
Indeed. Let me begin with you, Minkailu. Do you sense a sense of, what should I say, betrayal, if you like to call it that, between the former chairman for life of the APC and one of your party, veterans? Would you term it as, that betrayal?
When you say betrayal, it begs the question, who is betraying who? And again, when you say former chairman for life, it's also a bit contradictory. Because
wasn't he a chairman for life?
Yeah, when you say former, it cannot be for life.
Is he still the chairman for life?
No, of course, we don't have a chairman for life.
Well, he was the chairman for life.
Ernest Koroma was chairman of the All People's Congress, leader and chairman and president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. He was never given the nomenclature chairman for life. That is just some assumption from some individuals. Let me make that very clear. So to be honest with you, and the listening public, I don't see any form of betrayal. If anybody is being betrayed regarding the audio that was leaked, can be MS Bangura, yeah? The content of the audio, the leaked audio, you can note that came from the heart. Ernest Koroma was speaking from the heart to an elderly party person. Can you also confirm that
the audio was that of the former president, Ernest Koroma?
It is in the public domain. There is no denying that reality. He was speaking from the heart to a trusted friend and comrade, an elderly member of the party. And I have taken my time to listen to the audio from start to finish. You can note that on the background, there were voices. People were actually around. Yes, of course.
2 people. Yeah.
Yes, we are around. It is possible that when the conversation was going on, the phone was on loudspeaker. Anybody can record. It is when you talk to me on WhatsApp, they will tell you it is encrypted end to end, which presupposes I cannot be able to record you with the phone you are calling me with, except I use another device to record you. It is possible that MS Bangura did not even circulate that. It is also possible that the third party that was present where the conversation was taking place was the person that circulated it. But let it be made very clear that we do not sense any form of betrayal from President Koroma, former President Koroma, or from critical analysis. I don't think the leak was from MS Bangura. The old man
just for
cannot
the sake of argument as well, is it also possible that the same person who used his phone to make the call had another phone which he used to record the conversation?
It is also possible. Yeah. It is also possible, but I have interacted with MS Bangura. These are party veterans. He lived in Germany for a very long time. He has been contributing to the party from the days of Shaka Stevens. I have interacted with him. I know his passion for the APC. I can, vouch for him that he will not be in the position to leak that audio. But again, let it also be established that, in fact, it is very wrong for HE and Ernest Koroma to have been recorded or any other person without their consent. That is illegal to do so. So let us condemn the act, in fact. If I confide in you, I speak from my heart, it is wrong for you to record me and circulate it. The act was actually not appropriate.
So you've discussed inappropriateness. Now, there are 2 other people in that same room whom, MS Bangura introduced to Ernest during the call. I listened to the full audio last night. At some point in the conversation, the former president was listening to MS while the two guys were being introduced to him. Oh, these are my, relative. One is this, one is that.
That is why I
Is it
stated.
possible those people were the
It
ones
is
who
possible.
actually
It is
recorded this?
possible. The phone was on loudspeaker. And then, the discussion actually is something that has been on the public domain. It is nothing new. It was just given an account of what transpired before, during, and after the 2023 elections. Yeah, what is on the public domain? We all, are in Sierra Leone who've been following. You guys are journalists. You followed the tripartite committee. You followed what happened after the elections, the denial of the APC to participate in governance, the initiative to have a tripartite committee, a Bintumani agreement for national unity, and the meeting between Dr. Samura Kamara and HE President Bio. We have followed all of that. So what was discussed is nothing new. It's something in the public domain.
Is there any part of the audio that you deem damning to
Say again?
Is there any part of the audio that you think or deem damning or damaging to the image of the party and the state as a whole?
It was anticipated that the audio could be counterproductive, yeah? But for me, it is not counterproductive. It has sent a message very clear that, in fact, Ernest by Koroma is not interested to manipulating the politics in the APC. Some were rumoring that he wanted the constitution to be amended for him to run for another term. We call it remedial term. After you have exhausted 2 terms, you go and come, it is remedial term. He has made it abundantly clear that he is 70 and above. He do not have the strength to run again for president, and that he is not going to interfere as to who becomes the next leader and flag bearer of the All People's Congress. That clarification was necessary. If he could not come to the public and sit on TV to do it, if it has been done for him by those that circulated the audio, he has been vindicated. So that is very clear. I don't see anything damning in that audio. Nothing damaging. Nothing that will undermine the peace and serenity of the APC. Nothing.
Solomon, but what do you make of this whole situation? You've listened to the audio, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
Yes. What do you make of it?
Well, for me, it's like a statesman giving out, his views about what transpired between himself and, somebody he deemed that he will, respect or took the mantra from where he stopped. That is, Dr. Samura Kamara, whom he gave all his support to, and you can even listen when you listen to the former president. He said, we have so many people who have the qualification more than Dr. Samura Kamara. He even mentioned his cousin, for him to become president. He refused all of them. He gave his support to Dr. Samura Kamara. But at the end of the day, what I saw in the video is like betrayal. My brother is just denying the fact that, but that's the honest part of what the former president was saying, that he was not expecting, Dr. Samura Kamara, with all what transpired, within the 2023 elections, what came out, the oppositions were saying they were not taking part, in governance. All of this were made within the executive. So for Dr. Samura Kamara to go and have, discussion with the president, it's, it went, for them, that was not their thinking. Okay. So for me, it was dissatisfaction from the president expressing that. So what I thought was the former president thinking that Dr. Samura Kamara should not have discussion with the president. Why? Or what the former president think for this country to be in quagmire? That was what I thought, because he was in leadership. At a point after 2012 elections, we saw where this president now have some discussion with him. He was calling President Bio to do certain things, even the cause of Ebola. So why is he raising this concern about Dr. Samura Kamara not to have discussion with, the president? That is my point.
Did he categorically say that?
When you listen to the discussions, like we have the tripartite, they were saying APC or the parliamentarians should not take part in governance. So that was the stalemate for the country to stand still.
Can I respond
and in that case, I want to see where the former president will say, no, we don't want this. Condemn the act before, not now. So all what you're saying it's like he was expecting this country to go down the drain. That is my point.
Yes. I beg to differ. You know, the president, former president, this state, if I am elected leader and flag bearer of the APC, I did not take myself to run for an election. I was elected or selected by a certain political party. After an election, if I want to meet with the incumbent president because of certain inadequacies, with all due respect to Dr. Samura, what I have tried to do is to keep the balance. You know, we are responsible to holding, you know, equal rights of our membership in the APC. Yeah, we are the egalitarians. But it was appropriate for Dr. Samura to have sat with members of the executive, not EBK, but to have discussed details before meeting with President Bio. That is just appropriate. I cannot just wake up one morning after contesting an election without sitting with the leadership of the party to discuss and agree on a position paper to be presented, and I went to hold the meeting. You know, that was actually inappropriate. That is the truth. So, Ernest Koroma, I've led this country for a decade. He has served as president for 2 terms. You know, one of the most, you know, peaceful presidents in this country that ensured that power was distributed in all nook and crannies of this country. So he cannot want the country to go down the drain. Ernest Koroma can never wait for that.
Is it right for you to give somebody the cow and all the tail?
No, that is not it.
That is what is remoting. You have already, as you said, in fact, I was not expecting for him to use the word select. The APC have transformed themselves, and you and I know. Some of us came out and said the APC should transform, and the NRM, you are part of it. You have transformed.
Okay, now Solomon.
Are you using the word select?
Okay.
You understand? If you use the word select,
yes.
Okay, let's agree. You have selected somebody, but don't give leadership and you want to remote that person again. Allow the person to use his own
I know they want Kelvin to have his bite, but let me also Melvin to have his bite. But let me clarify this. The Constitution of the APC 1995 made provision for selection, and Dr. Samura Kamara was selected. When it comes to democratic tenets in the APC, I am one of those that champion it, that advocated for the removal of selection. Yeah. So when I say select, I am referring to what transpired in 2017 when he was selected, not currently.
Okay.
Let me clarify that.
Melvin, I've heard from a politician, I've heard from a civil society activist. Let me hear from a journalist, as you like to put it, a bite of the cherry.
I think I should be very careful at this point to be at least very empirical from a journalistic standpoint, and very methodological. So thus, I'll look at it from an institutional perspective. That's where we're talking about the APC, but also this is not just about it. This unverified leaked audio is not just about the APC, which we'll be talking a lot about shortly. It's also about the SLPP, and it has got to do with the ECOWAS, and of course it has got to do with what we are discussing now, personalities, which is the other aspect of the conversation. Of course, Samura is under the radar. Former President Koroma is under the radar, and MS Bangura is under the radar, and Dr. Bio and the SLPP government is under the radar. So that's another part. But I will begin from the what's the end game, and that's the item 6 on my notes, which is the future of elections, the electorate, and elected social contracts. I think what has been exhibited of late in that unverified audio is that mistrust and lack of confidence among politicians and the electorates. That cannot be argued. That can be sacrosanct. But also, it's also important that the political class understands that public trust or mistrust has got implications on the next elections. And it's unfortunately, the conversation boils on the way forward on what happened in 2023. And that's where Dr. Koroma indicted not only Dr. Samura Kamara, but the entire APC administration of missing out when it comes to the issue of disaggregated data. Apparently, on what's next, I think this just resonates with the public perception that politicians cannot be trusted, ultimately. Of course, there could be so many other aspects to it if we want to junk it out. For the SLPP, they told Sierra Leoneans that Dr. Koroma was on a medical leave. And for the APC, they were arguing that out he should be allowed to travel. And for all those components, and for ECOWAS were telling, that audio implicates ECOWAS, saying that, oh, it was the words, unverified words of Dr. Koroma that he said he wanted to be adamant or ad-arted, quoting his words.
But
it's clearly stated that Muhammad and Macky Sall prevailed on him on 2 considerations.
Yes.
One of which was, oh, what if you are here and somebody wants to come and escort you out and you've been killed? And on the other one, what if you are saying you are innocent, but what if evidence are concocted against you? One was preservation of life, another was reservation from imprisonment. So according to the unverified audio, it was clear that there is an unfinished business between the government, Dr. Koroma, and the APC. So that's on the issue of mistrust. But if we're to talk about Dr. Koroma himself, it exposes 2 sides of him: his political astuteness and his political subterranean nature. I think he was speaking in riddles, and I think it was not unintentional that audio leaked. Unverified audio leaked. It was deliberate to set an agenda for it to be discussed as we are doing so, but more so to set the tone of conversation. So I think listening to MS himself, it's clear that MS has become influential in the APC overnight, whether he has been doing so by way of donating gadgets from Germany. MS himself, I would describe him, in my opinion, with all due respect, as a dubious character. Of course, he might be of my late father's age. I respect him, but in discussing public issues, we all know bars. Dubious in the sense that, how can you put on loudspeaker a conversation with a former president, but in reverse, who are you to be called twice by a former president, but more so to talk at length, according to him, close to 2 hours? So was MS a pawn or a scapegoat? That's a question for another day. But it's deliberate, that the initiator of the call was deliberate. So it casts a dark cloud on Dr. Samura's candidacy for 2028, but it also opens the forum for whosoever will to come. That, oh, it's not going to be selection as usual. And my brother was provoking Minkailu that he was president for life. And I think the hallmark of that was, well, he was chairman and leader for life. The hallmark of that was the fact that we saw what happened after you, but more so you Sabiam, which he said, well, I singularly. So it's become very clear that Dr. Koroma is not yet tired, even if he's retired, and he feels betrayed by some quarters in the APC, including Dr. Kamara. But he also speaks to the fact that he wants to still keep the APC under his whims and caprices.
You know, but in the audio as well, there was a point wherein he noted being too old, to be involved. Even if they get the country again, no go come back. How do you interpret that?
That can be interpreted in twofold. It was castigating the SLPP misgovernance, SO2, in quotation, in his words, when MMS attempted to talk about bags of rice. But he was also indicting Dr. Samuel Kamara's age. He was saying he's old and lacks the energy. And if we are to put that into context, he was sending a message to the APC that you need a young blood and somebody that is energetic. But he was also shooting himself on the leg. He was saying that nobody has the solution to the problem of the country as it is. So the message of Dr. Koroma was very political, deeply political. In one essence, it was rhetorical. On the other hand, it was real, but its political correctness is going to be argued on a merit and demerit base. And if people are saying it exonerates the APC, if people are saying it implicates Samura Kamara, I think it goes beyond that. It even implicates his ongoing trial, because he was conjuncting a message that, oh, after that signing, say Mada Bio SO2 gets something get for Kamatam. So he was technically saying that he is not guilty of the charges against him. And we know he's having an ongoing trial for which his lawyers and medical doctors prayed on the court for him to be granted respite. So it's clear that the government, the APC, Dr. Koroma and his lawyers and medical team, and ECOWAS, they misled the people of Sierra Leone, and they owe us an apology.
I mean, Cairo, there are two conflictual perspectives here. One, the judiciary of Sierra Leone believes that the former president is on medical leave. But in that particular audio that was leaked, he seemed to have said that, oh no, you know, it was the former president of Ghana, you know, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who actually, in fact, you know, pointed him to the direction, oh, you know what
persuaded him.
Invade, yes, persuaded him to leave Sierra Leone. But these are two conflicting points of views. What's your view?
Yeah, I would rather not talk about that.
You don't want to?
Yeah.
You feel uncomfortable?
No, not that I'm uncomfortable, but it is also not legally correct to talk about an issue which is under a judge. It is still being investigated. The trial is on. Until he is acquitted and discharged, I cannot discuss that. I am here to set the record straight regarding the internal politics of the All People's Congress Party. But when it comes to anything that has got to do with government, November 26 or whatever it is, I don't want to discuss that.
Let me also point you to Mr. Koroma also blames the party for ruling out of the unity agreement. He said he was completely excluded, you know, from the entire process, which he deems disregarding, in his words. You know,
yes,
was this deliberate of the party to have done that?
No,
to
well,
exclude him?
Now, Dr. Ernest Koroma is the immediate past leader of the APC, which means he has got some influence in the party. So it is appropriate for us to always consult our elders in the party. The 2022 Constitution made provision for Elders Council. Elders Council is a body created for former chairman, former president, former secretary general. And so whenever a critical issue, which has got to do with the survival of the party and the peace of the country, I mean national cohesion in a whole, it is appropriate for them to be always consulted, for the executive to always engage with them. When they engage with their experience in governance and in politics, they can give better advice.
Aren't they too old to actually be able to run the country again, as in the words in the alleged leaked videos?
No, well, they are not running the country. Those running the day-to-day affairs of the party may be different from the Elders Council. These are people that you can approach for advice, elderly advice, based on their governance and political experience. It is not that they will be in the day-to-day running of the party or the country. That is not what I am suggesting. Ernest Koroma did say, listen to the conversation properly, that Dr. Samura Kamara went to meet President Bio without even consulting with the leadership of the party. The leadership in this case is Honorable Alhaji Minkailu Mansari, Ambassador Usman Fode Yansane, Lansana Dumbuya, and the rest of the national executive. They did not sit to discuss his meeting with the current president. That is the point. We have to know that clearly.
Has that issue been addressed within the party before now?
Yeah, it is being addressed currently as I speak. Everybody is important. Nobody can underestimate the importance and influence of Dr. Samura Kamara. Even if he's not running again, the party needs him for his influence. It needs him because he has, contested twice. We cannot just throw him under the bus. He's a very important figure in the APC. And that is why currently as I speak, the Elders Council of the party is engaging with Dr. Samura Kamara and other players who are also dissatisfied for all of us to come on board and have a united party going forward. So nobody is being treated with disrespect here. Everybody is important in the APC.
I'll come over to you. How much weight should the public, actually put on this leaked audio? And what do you think are some of the possible political outcomes that could, emerge from this?
You know what triggered the debate, just like what my brother mentioned. The public was expecting, the former president to be an elderly state person, not only for the APC, but for the country as a whole, where even the SLPP, if they are going wrong, they can come out. We saw, in fact, one of the statements made by him, I will go back and say, and that statement for me, I don't want to take that for granted, like where he said, Dr. Samura Kamara did not consult the executive. Berewa, blessed memory, when they announced the 2007 election results, that, the former president now, Dr. Koroma, wants the election, he did not consult his party. He took upon himself, took the phone and called the former president and congratulated him. I think that's the leadership. That's what we're expecting.
You think he was not being a leader?
For me, for the former president to say, you know, Dr. Samura Kamara did not consult because of the reason. We all knew exactly what was happening within Sierra Leone. For you to, you know, tell your parliamentarian not to take part in governance, do you know what that means? And Minkailu know exactly the rationale behind that. So for me, let's condemn, in fact, the act.
Who told the politicians not to participate?
Of course, the APC. They told their
Wasn't it a unitary decision within the party?
Well, it is unilateral, but for me, it was wrong in that direction. Go to the parliament and discuss the issue there.
Okay.
We knew exactly the outcome of our elections. 2007, we saw exactly when they announced the result. They canceled 477, polling stations at the stronghold. But we saw exactly the outcome of Berewa. Okay. So make the country peaceful.
Yes.
So that was what I was expecting as a state person.
Would you also say now to pick up a phone and send a congratulatory message is actually different than meeting in person to have a discussion?
Well, for me, I think what Dr. Samura Kamara did, I'm not his spokesperson, he did well for the peace and tranquility of Sierra Leone. For the peace and stability of Sierra Leone.
Would it have been okay as well to have brought the party along?
There was no way, because we saw exactly, we heard from Mohamed Bangura, who took upon himself and went to parliament, because they tried to bring them together. They refused to accept the proposals. So for them, they want to make the country stand still, not governance to run. We don't want to see that in Sierra Leone as a democratic nation. That's my point. And the public is expecting former President Koroma to be an elder state person, even as we speak. What I was expecting, I was there when they announced the 2018 election. He said, I'm going to wash my hands from politics. Internal politics, I'm going to wash my hands. But for him to carry the mantra, leader and chairman, and he still carry the pride, that's the pride in him, that's the ego in President Koroma. He should leave that. Let's take Sierra Leone comes first.
You think he's egoistic?
Of course, that's the egoistic of President Koroma. We need to say this. That's the egoistic of President. President Koroma did not make himself. It's the electorate that made him a president. And
I wish to respond.
Would you also want to say, at the point, let's come back to Dr. Samura Kamara, when he might have met with, the executive. Now, without bringing the party along, is it that he didn't trust the executive of the APC?
Now, before going to that, let me respond to a few things that has been raised by Solomon Sondu. Firstly, 2007, I voted. I was a student at Frabi College, but I voted in that election. Yeah, it's a different election to 2023. President Koroma is an elderly statesman. He has a country at heart. That is also the reason why in 2018, even though Dr. Samura Kamara, did have some reservation, yeah, and as well went to court at some point, but President Koroma did certify the result and attended the inaugural ceremony of President Bill at the National Stadium. Let us understand that clearly. Solomon Berewa,
he was bound to do so.
No, yes, he did attend. So that tells you he's not that vindictive person. He's an elderly statesman and believes transition must happen as long as it is democratically done. So you cannot compare 2007 to 2023. In 2007, the law was very clear. In fact, the SLPP was a disintegrated party. We had the PMDC of Charles Magai, which did break away from the SLPP to form the PMDC, and Magai did support Ernest Bai Koroma. They went as far as Kailaon, Shegbima, and Daru to campaign. And the APC won the elections with an overwhelming majority. So the former Vice President Solomon Berewa was aware of the fact that he did not win. So it is also not wrong for you to take a phone and call your contender and congratulate that person. It is not wrong to do so. But I also want you to know that even though Dr. Samura Kamara met with President Bill to have this discussion leading to the formation of the tripartite committee, let's say first the agreement for national unity had been to Mani. Till date, he has not accepted that President Bill did win the election. He's here to accept. Follow the conversation. Follow his audios and videos. He's here to accept. So let us know.
But we all knew there was no way for
and
APC to
then the
claim
inadequacies in 2023 are many. I believe I have not wanted to talk about that because we've gone past that now.
Good.
We have had the national.
What do you believe, Minkali?
We have had the agreement for national unity just this morning. SNPP did not win the 2023 election.
That's what you believe?
That is what is the fact.
So we are expecting
for
them to go to court.
Now,
not to tell their
just this morning, we've gone past that now. At the end of the day, there has been an agreement for national unity. The tripartite committee, just this morning, I was following the AG on 98.1, talking about the implementation of the tripartite committee's report, resolution 3 and 4. I followed him. He even spoke about the CRC, the constitutional review process that is ongoing, the involvement of political party and civil society, which is under serious scrutiny. So I don't want to go back to 2023. But the fact is the comparison is unhealthy. You cannot compare 2007 to 2023. I followed Solobi, his statement then, that he was disappointed but not devastated. He has served as vice president and AG, and he congratulated Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma. Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma did same for President Bio in 2018. Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma must not be the focus. He did not contest 2018 and 2023. It has to be clear. He did not contest. He was not on the ballot.
Let me again draw your attention.
He's not meddling. No, he's not. He's just playing his role as an elderly statesman, former chairman of the APC. That is the fact.
Let me draw your attention again to a very crucial.
You are asking a question about Dr. Samura Kamara.
I think
they did not feel betrayed. Yes, there is a trust issue. I agree.
Okay.
We've had people, from the executive and people from Dr. Samura Kamara's group making statements that are not actually cohesive. But that is now a thing of the past. We are all coming together to ensure that a united APC leads this country in the next election.
All right,
is that just the face front or it's the reality?
It is a fact, not a facade.
Okay. Minkailu, another very crucial area of the audio is this. So President Bio had once said that his time is limited, to completely take the country where everyone wants him to take it to, and just in the audio as well, the former president, Ernest Bai Koroma, also said that no one, as Melvin had said just now, no one has a solution to the problem of Sierra Leone except if they want to be, gluttonous or greedy, if you like. What did you say? President Koroma has spoken the mind of the APC that there is no solution to the bankruptcy.
No, well, his statement has been misinterpreted. In fact, misrepresented equally.
He was even speaking Creole.
Yeah, of course, he has been misinterpreted, misrepresented equally.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, there is no one is a reservoir of knowledge. President Bio was admitting failure. That democratic term limit will not allow him to address all of his manifesto promises. He was admitting abysmal failure. It is different from what President Koroma was saying. So the comparison itself, is unhealthy. President Koroma was saying the solution to the country's progress, development and national cohesion cannot only be vouched for by a single individual. I may not have all of the answer to Sierra Leone's problem. You cannot have all of the answer to Sierra Leone's problem. So for Sierra Leone to make progress, political parties must realize that they must come together and agree on a leader which they can support. That is why it is leadership. That is why it is government.
Do you think he was speaking to the APC for you to find someone who would lead the party?
Of course, that is just it. He has said it abundantly clear. He did say he's over 70, and anybody who is over 70 cannot be in the position, may not have the strength to lead the party and the country. We need to have a new individual to take the party forward. That is just it.
My brother is, is just alluding that former President Koroma has vindicated also President Bio in his words. That is what he has said. Because if you say, so for me, let
me bring it.
There's
no solution. It's not a difference. He has already vindicated.
Melvin, we keep going round in circles.
It is different altogether.
We keep going round in circles, and I would say this, what a lot of young people need in Sierra Leone is a system that works for them.
Sure.
You want to be able to get a decent job. We're not asking for too much. The job should be able to provide your basic needs. You should be able to afford something. Food, should be able to pay small, tiny bills, buy lights, get gas, afford transportation and the likes. Do you think these two major political parties are actually doing a disservice to the nation?
I think your question is well seated in the heart of the question asked as to somebody is saying, well, he has exonerated President Bio. Another is saying, this has implicated the political class that they failed. If Madabio in that occasion was saying that, oh, based on constitutionality and democracy and a rule of law, I cannot do all what I want, it was an expression of frustration and retardment. Similarly to Dr. Koroma saying that that country, like I did so, it was just the same message that the leadership class, they've concluded that they are failing on service delivery and effectiveness. And it's quite unfortunate. He has not absolved Madabio at all. He's implicated him. Like he said before now, perhaps he borrowed a leaf from him, saying that the country is left in doom. But are they right? It shows that the electorate must be thinking outside of the box of the political class, because they are also now telling us that, like, was it President Momo, former President Momo, that said, I have failed?
Former President Momo.
Yeah.
Quote and unquote.
Yeah.
It's the indirect message they are telling us that they are failing or they failed. Because if Ernest Koroma is attempting to talk about how that country the carry so now, and he boasted in the same on a verified audio about his legacy, where are his legacies? Light day right now. So by extension, he's also a failure. He failed the people because there was no sustainable plan in place. There is no continuity or contingent plan in place on the part of the APC and now the SLPP to continue development. So what they are just telling us is that the electorate must be more enlightened. The media and civil society must ask more probing questions. There are several interesting things that I deliberately wanted to evade some of the conversations on the main studio, but some of them are quite, they should not be left untouched. And if you'll permit me, let me just touch on this one that says, of course, we've agreed now that, like Madabio, like Dr. Koroma, in terms of this country, Bokuma don't pull out, Bokuma don't pull out. But some of us will not give it up. And if they are elected on a social contract to deliver, and they are passing these messages connotatively or otherwise, it's telling the electorate that we must be wiser. There's another aspect that no solution. I think we've exhausted that.
You know, Melvin,
now on the APC, please let me just land.
Yeah.
The APC seem to be in a quagmire or a dilemma. They should come and tell us if they so care in reacting to this unverified audio as to what they think about whether Dr. Koroma is a political, well, how do you call somebody that is on trial in a court? Political indictee or whatever. Because for what we know, he was on trial for treason, which occurred before the signing, which occurred way after the signing of the Agreement of National Unity. So when we see people jets, in the current APC executive, jets to Abuja, a very nice place but very expensive, to go and consult, they should be asking all of these questions. What's their intention and motive? This is, for me, a distraction. It's good for the SLPP because it has diverted our attention from world happiness reports. It has diverted our attention from cocaine saga. It has diverted our attention from being one of the worst performing GDPs across the world. It's good for them. But what's not good is that it has placed the government on the spot, judiciary-wise, particularly on his trial, because when he seemed to have conveyed a message of, well, this is concocted or cooked up. So this was not just about APC or Samura or Dr. Koroma. It's about the national democracy. It's about the rule of law. It's about good governance. And it's about the next election. So people must not downplay it. And it's unfortunate Dr. Koroma is yet to respond. The APC is yet to respond, although their officials are coming now.
Do you also see the young people ready to lead Sierra Leone? Because when you also do an analysis to see few of those who hold positions, I mean, imagine we're in a situation where we even see scandals around the youth envoy office, an instrumental office like that for young people. Do we also have a youthful population that is ready to lead in, or they have already started off on the path that's also heading for destruction?
Well, to say the young people, I am a young man, are not ready to lead will be a misrepresentation of whether empirical or observatory facts. But the fact remains that young people in leadership have been puppets of the aged and the old. A classic is, how can a 71-year-old man asking for the respect of a 73-year-old man? In the case of Samura Kamara versus Dr. Koroma. So it is about this, there is this biological term, I don't know if they are called octogenarians or I don't want to use it. If you old pardon, the first for respect, what is that they expect for the young people? So most of we the young people, I talk this in a Creole, where we feel say we're in government, we are just puppets of the old. Because even the old, within themselves and among themselves, they are dissatisfied with their approach. Everybody wants to be the boss or the yes man. So young people are ready to lead, but they are not being given the free hand. Okay. A case study, if you want to put it in parallel, look at Dr. David Senge and the reaction to some of his approaches. All right? Look at the case of the downfall, the rise and downfall of, well, SO2 for this time now, of Oman Bangura. These were young people who are leading and performing based on their TOR. But when it comes to what the upper echelon thinks, what the elders think, what the godfathers think, it's not about you. The godfather sets the agenda for the young people. Right. And you must be extremely radical. Minkailu attempted it, but he was humbled. When he started his NRA Renaissance, but he was humbled. So, was he not ready to lead? Was Alfred Peter Conte not ready to lead? Do you think David Senga is not ready to lead? But what is the status quo saying? And the status quo not so young man and they. Now part of it for a veteran in 30, 40 years. So the solution is we don't need to ostracize the aged or the young. We need a blend. Because they say experience is the best teacher. We need experienced, sincere and honest elderly state people and not necessarily politicians. That is not to mean that politicians cannot be statesmanly. But we need people who can guide the young, and the young must be willing. So it's a blend. We cannot just do it on our own.
So a fusion in governance.
Yes.
So Mikhailo, quickly before I ask my final question.
Yes.
Say again. You wanted to respond?
Yes, I wanted to respond. Yes. First of all, President Koroma did not fail. Like,
I think so.
Yeah, it did not fail. Now, in 2007 to 2012, there was the agenda for change. Okay. In the agenda for change, he made promises about free health care. That was achievable. Lactating mothers, pregnant women, children under 5, we are all benefiting from the free health care across the country. You go to Kailaon, there was an ultra-modern hospital that he constructed. When it comes to infrastructure, the roads, go to Kailaon, for example. That is the classical example I'll give. I worked in Kailaon, yeah? When I graduated from college, recruited by PPRC, I was sent there. I worked there. When you leave Kenema to Kailaon, you can spend the rest of the day. But now when you go there, it's about 30 minutes to 40 minutes from Kenema to Kailaon. He constructed that. He achieved a lot in infrastructure. The free health care, we achieved a lot, yeah? Again, even electricity, the only problem, he was talking about sustainability. I agree with him, yeah? Sustainability. When the SLPP came, they abandoned most of the agreements that were signed by the APC with companies that were providing electricity for this country. They abandoned that because they wanted to have a deal of their own with other partners. So that is the challenge. It is not the fault of President Koroma. Now, when it comes to the agenda for prosperity, 2012 to 2018, President Koroma also did a lot. So we cannot say he failed. You can only judge somebody after their tenure. And President Koroma did achieve a lot, my brother. Let us be clear. Now, what is also
wouldn't it be apt to point out that it was the same APC under the President Koroma that plunged this country into austerity before the SLPP?
No. What is austerity? Austerity is not any bad nomenclature. Austerity presupposes cutting down on government expenditure for you to address other more important areas.
We actually borrowed a lot.
No, austerity. The economy was doing very well when we declared this country as an austerity country compared to how it is doing now. Take a look at government expenditure, even addressing the budgetary allocation to government. Current government cannot even address. I don't want to go
to compare then and now.
Yeah, of course.
Is better?
It is better to compare then and now. That is the comparison I'm making.
Under the green and the red.
You can agree with me that the economy then was better to a point that Leone was even rated as the fastest growing economy, save for the twin shocks. Colleague, for whom I have great respect, Timbo, did resign as Deputy Secretary General of the APC because maybe he's planning to contest in the next convention for a position. Now, before this time, people don't even resign. They carry themselves to the convention and transform themselves to other positions. It is the NRM that achieved that. We've seen young people are now leading the Young Congress, what used to be the Youth League. Before now, you can see 40 to 50 years claiming they are leaders of the Youth League. Now it is not happening. You now see, people aspiring to be flag bearers, they now go down at constituency level. See what happened during the Ramadan. They take iftar to constituency, to district executive, to lobby because they want them to vote for them. It is only the NRM that has created that opportunity for members of the APC to now enjoy. So, Melvin, I was not humbled. We did not fail. We succeeded 100%.
Here from Sundu as well would be this morning. Now, in the audio as well, former President Ernest confessed that, Samoa Kamara was the least prepared flag bearer, yet he was chosen. Now, in the sea of uncertainty,
yeah, well,
and when the president actually knew this man wasn't prepared, why?
I don't want to comment on that. I have concluded discussion regarding the leaked audio. I was just responding to Melvin.
Doesn't that show confusion?
But the fact of the matter is
that the former president knew that this man wasn't prepared, but yet chosen.
The fact of the matter is that was a decision that was reached by those aspiring to be leaders and flag bearers of the APC. There was a point I attended the 2017 convention in Makeni. I am not new in the APC. I have served about 23 years. Yes. I joined the APC around 2002 when I was just in high school. Okay. My membership is dated back. I have attended most of those conventions. I was there. They locked themselves in a room. All those aspiring to be flag bearer did agree that President Koroma should select. How can you so agree? Why didn't they say, let us go into election? Let the popular man, emerge. So the blame is not only on Ernest by Koroma, the blame is on all of them. We have to make that clear.
And all of you at the party?
And I was not in the position to make decision at that time.
At the time, okay.
Those that were in the position to make decision, the blame should go to all of them, not only Dr.
So do your final comment.
Just before we go to Sundu, do you have any position you're eyeing within the party?
Yes, there is this clarion call.
Perhaps?
No, I am not prepared yet to run for flag bearer, but I believe the next flag bearer of the APC is a young person.
Who is it?
No, well, I am not going to be specific, yeah? I am not here to advocate for any individual, but be assured that the next flag bearer of the APC will be between the ages. Yeah, of course. I am not here to advocate for any individual for obvious reasons. We have to hold the balance.
Yeah. Okay.
Most of those running that are young people, they are all brothers and friends.
Do you think your party is ready for a young person?
Yes, I am certain my party is ready for a young person. Okay. And Melvin did say the statements from Dr. Ernest by Koroma could be regarded as politically correct and very critical. To say I am 70 and above and I can no longer run, and I don't advise anybody who is 70 to run, presupposes he was preparing the stage for a young person to come and take over this party. And be assured, I have stated this 7 to 8 months ago on Liberty TV, that the next leader of the APC and president of Leone will be between the ages of 40 to 50. Will not exceed 50. That is very clear.
You're sure?
That is certain. And take it to the bank.
Solomon Sundu, final comment, please.
I want to say governance is continuity. So all what Minkailu have said about the sustainability of energy, the day they announced results in 2018, the light went. So it was not sustainable. I agree with Melvi. So what we are saying, the healthcare system, we are still battling with that. So for me, for President Koroma to go for medical leave, that also is a fallacy. And he has proven that all what the professionals were saying, and on my last broadcast in my good governance, I said it, that the professionals should be professionals in their own way. But you see what happened. Here is a doctor who said former President Koroma was healed. And now he's telling us that they persuaded him to leave the country.
Right.
So for me, let's call the two political parties that, in other words, we need young people. But what I would say, the young people need to be trained in governance, because we are seeing most of them.
Who is going to train them?
Well, from the elderly ones, you need experience. We cannot rule that out. We need young people. As you said, we have young people now who cannot able to deliver. So we need them to be trained. So for me, let's leave the rhetorics. Let's call our political leaders. The failure on their part, they should be thinking of you spoke about, we should be able to provide the basic amenities.
Right.
That is our plead.
Thank you.
Let them do the needful for Sierra Leoneans. We need to see, more proactive development.
Thank you very much.
Not, cosmetic one. Sustainable development.
Thank you so much.
Melvin.
You asked a specific question. Yeah, before going to Melvin, let me just answer that. Yeah, briefly.
Okay.
You asked if I was planning to run for any position in the
I
APC.
said if you wanted the flag bearership position.
I asked if you have your eyes out on any position.
Yes, I shall be running for the position of National Publicity Secretary of the APC.
Okay.
We hear you.
And to conclude, I want to congratulate the NRN, because for some of us, we came out and say we need young people to stand at the helm of affairs.
Okay.
So for Mikhailu, at that time, we supported all of their cause.
Right.
So for them to succeed in changing the constitution, it's a kudos to them.
Melvin?
My brother.
Melvin, we're
I
wrapping
don't know
up,
if
but
it's gonna
just
be-
as we wrap up,
I don't know if it's going to be like...
Mikhailu spoke something about a national agenda. I'd also want you to take that into consideration as we wrap up.
Of
Because
course,
when
people have
that
been-
would actually serve as a blueprint, I would say.
In fact, that was
Yes,
one
that's
of
the
my
basis
campaign
on
in my
which,
good
I
governance,
think
that we need
do
to set up
research,
the agenda.
If there is an existing model, I've had people touting aspects of Ghana and elsewhere, but I know for the greatest democracy of our time, America, when it's time for the Republicans, they are reserved, they are isolationists. When it's time for the Democrats, they are globalists. They believe in more social amenities. So political ideologies and their application, for you to gag them, then why political parties exist. That will be raising a fundamental constitutional question in Section 35. Because in Sierra Leone, it says political parties exist to shape the political will of the people.
Okay.
How, when, and why is unclear. So I don't expect political parties to have a uniform agenda. However, I think continuity is part of governance balance. But the conversation has been very interesting anyway, listening to, I think Mikhailu, now that he's declared, I want to say one credit I will give to Mikhailu on a personal note, he has not run away. He has always been here. He's always been taking the tough questions. But I wonder what his boss, CD Tunis, will be eyeing. But I wish him all the best. I think we need young people that are vibrant. He's a revolutionist leader. And I deliberately made the citation. Is it going to be like RIM, like NRM? Because Mikhailu failed to mention, the biggest success of the NRM was no more selection.
That's it.
And now, what will be the biggest political goal scoring point for the, radical inclusion movement? I like to talk politics in contrast. Because there seems to be a rising NRM in the SLPP. And nobody seems to be care about it. So for me, what will that be? But whether APC needs a young person, my only advice would be it should not be victimizing, it should not be acrimonious.
All right.
Melvin seated here as a political analyst. I've learned a lot from ageable people, experienced people, and I will never sit and tell my kids or the generation after me that we should discard them. We need them if they are honest and sincere.
Okay.
Well, if they are subterranean, we must call them out. And I think that will be my last statement. We need
you.
the experience of the old, but if they are not honest and sincere, even if they are in opposition of government, let's call them out and look for young and old people that we can model for the betterment of the country.
Thank you very much indeed, Melvin Tijan Mansare. You've been quite thorough this morning, and also to our esteemed guest, Mikhailu Koroma. He's a member of the APC media team. Congratulations, by the way. You've so declared in our studio this morning that you are eyeing a particular position. We wish you well. And also to Solomon Sundu, who is a famous guest in our studio. Thank you so much indeed, gentlemen, for being here.